Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating on a lot of fronts, not just the loss, but that was very much a game that was there for the taking. And, as we'll get into, I really felt going into halftime where Penn State was at and the fact they're getting at the ball to start the second half, they had a chance to really take control of the game and just never did. And it's frustrating because as we've come on here and talked about seemingly every game for the last 6-7 weeks now, it's the same problems haunting this team, and in a lot of ways it's the same problems that have haunted this team in losses throughout the James Franklin era.
Right. It's just it just felt like another one. Just felt like kind of what's become the theme of this season. Had their chances. You're waiting for them to really take over, maybe, deliver that strike that puts them over the edge, and it just never quite came. And I think what really stuck out to me though was just how the defense had probably their worst performance of the year, especially those first two drives.
You would think 4-down territory here.
I mean, especially the second touchdown drive. Penn State pins them at the 1 yard line, just where you think they should have them, and Kenneth Walker breaks off a huge run, almost took it to the house in the first play, almost had a 9-yard touchdown, but nonetheless, they still end up ultimately scoring a touchdown. That drive, go up 14-zip, and suddenly you're thinking, oh boy, is we're gonna get routed here? But the team did strike back. They started throwing the ball a bit more. Threw a couple strikes to Jahan Dotson to tie the game. And then Sparty answered with a field goal of their own. Penn State once again was throwing the ball, moving the chains. Got inside the red zone, couldn't quite punch it in. So they try a field goal. Jordan Stout doesn't go through. So 17-14 and a half. Then second half, Penn State's defense, starting to get it together a bit more. They come up with a huge pick six to take their first lead of the game. Missed the extra point, but still Penn State's ahead for the first time. And you're thinking, all right, there's some real momentum here, get something going. But no, Michigan State, they drive down the field, and this was the other thing that maybe you can get into this too. But what was really infuriating with the defense, even once they quelled the bleeding from early on, they still seemed to give up way too many 3rd and longs, and of course there was that 4th and 15 conversion that Sparty had for the game-sealing touchdown, what ended up being the game-sealing touchdown late in the game. But just, 3rd and long, 4th and long, situations where they had done a great job all year getting off the field. Today they were just bafflingly terrible, and the tackling was just, it looked like, 2020 season levels of tackling, like they hadn't been practicing in a while because of COVID restrictions.
Yeah, I'm with you. The defense really was a letdown today. And actually, one of the things that I'm putting in my takeaways article for Black Shoe Diaries was the defense time and time again being given so many opportunities to get off the field and just not taking advantage of it. Like you said, that 4th and 15, that was the biggest play of the game. Penn State goes down the field and winds up scoring their next possession. That would have given them the lead with, 40 seconds left or whatever it was. It's 4th and 15. Michigan State's going to throw to the end zone there, and they throw up the jump ball and they catch it. Just so many times in this game, they could have gotten off the field and they didn't. Michigan State was 9 of 18 on 3rd down, 3 of 4 on 4th down. That's not going to cut it. And just even when they had mistakes by Michigan State, there'd be penalties. There was that holding that negated a Kenneth Walker touchdown run. And then on 3rd and goal from the 15, Joey Porter Jr. gets called for pass interference on a ball that probably was not going to be caught. And Michigan State scores 2 plays later, whatever it was. Missed tackles that, even though they may not have always led to a first down, made it 3rd and 3 instead of 3rd and 8, stuff like that. Just poor play from the defense, missed opportunities. And like you said, Tim, it really was a disappointment because this was probably the worst game the defense has played all season. I know they gave up more points to Ohio State, but anyone who watched that game, knowing the power of the Ohio State offense, will tell you Penn State's defense played a tremendous game. And also Ohio State scored non-offensive points in that game that made the their point total higher than it really was offensively. So it was definitely a letdown day from the defense. Yeah, just and I think too, like it's Michigan State. Like this kind of stuff only happens against them. Snowstorms, 2-hour delays for thunder and lightning. The one time all year the defense looks inadequate and inept with everything. Like this stuff only happens, and usually it only happens in East Lansing. Also, just I don't know what it is, but yeah, it was extremely frustrating on so many fronts today because this was a game that Nittany Lions probably should have won, or at least had every opportunity in the world to win. And even when Michigan State tried to keep giving them opportunities with turnovers, with penalties, things like that, Penn State just couldn't take advantage.